Up here, we ball different, but we've been next in line for too long. And we're tired of waiting. It's time we witnessed the rise of our franchise, connecting our coasts, our communities, and our culture stronger than the Maple Leaf itself. Why? Because ball was born here. Up here, we ball different, but we've been next in line for too long. And we're tired of waiting. It's time we witness the rise of our franchise, connecting our coasts, our communities, and our culture stronger than the Maple Leaf itself. Why? Because ball was born here. The next great moment in Canadian sports history starts today. WNBA Toronto. Up next.
You guys, do you feel the energy in this room? This is incredible. This is palpable. Y'all, Drake is here. Come on. We got Masai Ujiri here. We got Kyle Lowry. Where are you? What? Scotty Barnes in the house. We got Canadian basketball legends in this room today. Look at this group. This is absolutely incredible. Good morning. I had to say that first. Good morning, everybody. I am Stacey Dales. I actually grew up right here in Ontario playing hoops. I could not be more proud to be with you here today. It's my distinct pleasure to welcome all of you in this room, to welcome sports fans from across the country, but more importantly, WNBA fans and the WNBA community from across the globe, to celebrate what truly is an historic day in women's basketball. Please join me right now in acknowledging that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today truly marks a special, special day for women's basketball. I've already said it. Right here in Canada, Toronto plays home to a multitude of professional teams who have made it to the top. Think about it. The Leafs, the Blue Jays, the Argos, TFC, the Raptors. They've all won titles. But guess what? We're not finished, guys. Canada has a rich basketball history and an incredible passion for women's hoops. In recent years, the energy for the sport has truly reached unparalleled, unprecedented levels. We have a special group of leaders here, an esteemed group of leaders with us who are about to unveil a huge announcement, an announcement that we have all been waiting for. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is here. Chairman of Kilmer Sports Ventures, the Larry Tannenbaum. I got goosebumps, guys. Premier Doug Ford, everybody. And we love her kicks on the end. That is Mayor Olivia Chow, folks. All right, so let's get this thing started. First, please join me in extending a huge, warm welcome to someone who truly believes in the power of bringing Canadians together through the magic of sport. More specifically, he has shown an unwavering support for girls and women in sport in this country. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Thank you so much, Stacey. What a great day today. Good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here with Mayor Chow, with Premier Ford, with our Canada's Minister of Sport, Carla Qualtrough, my friend, has been working very, very hard on this, Canadian Basketball Hall of Famer Tammy Sutton-Brown, and so many of you who worked tirelessly to make this exciting day a reality. WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, thank you so much, Cathy, for all your leadership, for being here today. You're much taller than Gary Bettman. I'm really gonna like working with you significantly. And of course, Larry Tannenbaum and Teresa Roach. Larry, your personal drive to make this happen, and we don't need to get into the details of it, but I think everyone in this room knows just how much we are here today because you were absolutely focused on making it happen, and really I don't think Toronto and indeed Canada can thank you enough for all your contributions to sport, but this one's even a Montrealer can get way behind, you know. It's awesome, Larry. Because, yeah, as a Montrealer, it does pain me to say that Toronto is such an incredible sports city. Through thick and thin, through heartbreak and triumph and heartbreak, Torontonians consistently demonstrate their passion, their commitment, and their love for professional sports. Toronto's also a diverse city, a welcoming city, and a progressive city. So it should come as no surprise that when it hosted the first ever WNBA game in Canada a year ago, it sold out and set records for attendance, broadcast viewership, and merchandise sales. And over the other way, in the PWHL's inaugural season this year, Toronto, along with Ottawa and Montreal, wholeheartedly embraced their new hockey teams. I had the pleasure to meet with the Toronto and Ottawa hockey teams who told me how magical it was to play in front of huge crowds of dedicated fans, night in and night out. I have to say, sitting in that sold-out crowd watching the PWHL with my kids, my daughter especially, made me so proud to be Canadian. Seeing the energy that's been built up around women's professional sports, the hunger for it, the excitement for it, and just the glory of it is huge. Proud to be part of a country that uplifts women in sport, whether it's Canadian soccer legend and my cousin Christine Sinclair, or all the great players of the PWHL, or all the incredible basketball players we're celebrating today. Cities across Canada have said loudly and clearly, we are and we want to be a destination for women in sports. Pendant trop longtemps, les femmes n'avaient pas les ressources nécessaires pour rayonner dans le sport professionnel. Et les femmes ont même dû se battre pour que leur sport professionnel soit diffusé à la télévision. For too long, women's sports have been underreported, underfunded, and underappreciated. But that era is over. That era is over because people, and Canadians especially, want to watch the most talented women in the world compete at the highest level. The record-breaking crowds during the first ever PWHL season are proof of that, as is the unprecedented surge in interest in women's basketball thanks to incredible Canadian talents like Kia Nurse and Alia Edwards. But my friends, we know there's lots more work to be done. Here in Toronto, the people sitting with me are not shying away from the challenge. Les femmes ici sont en train de bâtir l'avenir du sport féminin au Canada. Elles misent sur l'amour de longue date des Canadiens pour le sport professionnel. We're all taking another step forward toward equality in sport, and I, for one, could not be more excited to see it happen. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Thank you for all the incredible work we've done. Let's celebrate. Let's see the success we're all building together. Go, women's sports, go.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for those powerful words. It's my privilege right now to introduce you to, she's the boss, guys. She's the commissioner of the Women's National Basketball Association, whose visionary stewardship continues to propel the WNBA to unprecedented levels of success. I mentioned Mayor Chow's kicks, but take a look at these pumps, guys. I need new shoes. Folks, Kathy Engelbert, WNBA commissioner.
Wow, it's just so great to be here. Thank you, Prime Minister. Really appreciate those words around the rise of women's sports, particularly women's basketball. And it's great to be back in Toronto, and such an honor to have you all here with us on such a historic day in the basketball community here in Canada. And as I look around the room, wow, I am so humbled to see what an impact that WNBA has had on this city and this country, and today is truly a special day. Toronto and Canada hold a special place in my heart for the WNBA. We know the rich history of women's basketball here, from legends of the game like Stacey, Tammy Sutton-Brown right there, to current stars like Kia Nurse, Bridget Carleton, and rookie stars the Prime Minister mentioned, Aaliyah Edwards. We're so proud of the Canadians in our league, and there's so much excitement. I mean, the preseason game that the Prime Minister mentioned, and then this year we were in Edmonton, last year here in Toronto, the energy and passion we saw in arenas was amazing. And we know Toronto is a basketball city. I know for all those hockey fans, we're in the middle of the Stanley Cup playoffs here, but we've seen time and time again that Toronto is home to dedicated and enthusiastic basketball fans. I'll never forget last year at Scotiabank Arena when I attended our Toronto game, and lots of people coming up to me and saying, "Thank you for making my dreams come true by bringing a WNBA game here." That's when I knew this is the right place as we're thinking about expansion. So, and the tens of thousands and hopefully millions of girls who were inspired that day is just something that you cannot replicate without bringing a team here to Canada. So with that, I am honored to officially announce that we have awarded the City of Toronto the 14th WNBA franchise. The team will start play in our 2026 season, and we're just at such a pivotal moment for our league. We have set viewership records, selling out season tickets, growing the game, and adding this 14th team marks a particularly significant milestone in the ongoing growth of the league. So this has been a major goal of mine, certainly since I joined the league a few years ago. I'm here with my team who made this all possible. And we know, as we looked at the data around Toronto being a remarkably diverse city and vibrant city, and we're so proud that the WNBA is now part of this open and welcoming community. And we're excited to expand outside the United States, and this is our first as well, as we continue to work to bring in new audiences, new fans. It creates new opportunities for players. The depth of talent in this league is amazing. And so to be able to offer a deeper pool of talent with a team here in Canada as well is great. So, by the way, in case you haven't been following the WNBA, our players are not just the best basketball players in the world. They also serve as role models, community ambassadors, symbols of empowerment, and we can't wait to see how they activate and become fixtures here in the Toronto community around the impact that they will make. As the longest tenured women's professional sports league in North America, we just tipped off our 28th season last week. The momentum we have built, the leadership we're showing. Last year was our most watched season in 21 years, and again, we're just tipping off year 28. We had the highest viewership in history of the WNBA draft this year, blowing away prior records. So now the City of Toronto will join us. This is all possible because of Larry Tannenbaum and Kilmer Sports Ventures. They have been determined partners committed to bringing a WNBA franchise here to Canada. We've been in conversations with Larry for a while, and it became clear that he and his team have the experience, the infrastructure, the expertise. This is a visionary ownership group. And to Larry and Judy, there is no one we would rather partner with to take the W's first step on our journey to become a more global league. We are so proud to make history with you. Congratulations, and Toronto, welcome to the W. So Larry, if you would come up, we'd like to present you with our iconic ball. May 23rd, 2024, Toronto, welcome to the W. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. And to the entire WNBA executive team who are here today, thank you very much for all your support. Kathy, under your leadership, the WNBA has experienced unprecedented growth, including the league's first global expansion. I know this is just the start of what's to come, and we're honored to have been selected as the first franchise outside of the United States. This is an incredibly important occasion and a historic one. I'm thrilled so many of you are here to celebrate this game-changing day for not only women's basketball, but for sports in Canada. Thank you, Prime Minister Trudeau, and Minister Coltreau over there, thank you, Premier Ford, and Minister Lumsden, and Mayor Chow, and Deputy Mayor Malik. This team is Canada's team, and we appreciate you all being here to celebrate with us today. Just over 30 years ago, I saw an opportunity to bring the NBA to Canada. We, as a city and as a country, were ready to welcome Canada's first NBA franchise to Toronto. It was the right time, in the right place, and I jumped on the chance. I went on the road and convinced each and every owner in the league to support an expansion team for Toronto. It was no small feat, and in 1993, at the NBA All-Star Game in Utah, we got our team. Since that time, I've spent a good part of my career helping to build championship-caliber sports franchises in our great city of Toronto. While some years are better than others, we've been lucky enough to celebrate league victories 6 times in this city, most memorably with the Raptors 5 years ago. Seeing the pride of our teams bring not only to Toronto sports fans, but to fans across the country is remarkable. More importantly, though, I've seen how our teams inspire future generations to play and grow into a better version of themselves through the skills and discipline learned through sport. I've referenced Nelson Mandela's famous quote many times. Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to youth in a language they understand. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair. It is more powerful than government in breaking down racial barriers. It's this that drives my passion and commitment to sports in this country and this city. It's the legacy I want to leave for our next generation. For years, young girls in basketball have been inspired by some of the NBA greats. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, who was with us here today. Thank you, Kyle. Jamal Murray and SGA. But these young women never saw someone like themselves on the brightest stage playing the sport they love. Now, the WNBA has changed all that. And today, we're changing that here in Canada. Our team will complete the pathway for women in this country. They will see heroes that look like them in person and on the air all summer long. They'll gain inspiration from Asia Wilson, Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, and Kia Nurse. They can see that the sport they play as girls and as women is just as important and worth investing in. Because the more we all recognize value and potential of women's sports, the closer we get to a more equitable future in the world of sports. So today, we're here because once again, we were in the right place at the right time. And that's entirely because of the talent, hard work, and perseverance of many women in this room today. Thank you. Many say women's sports is having a moment. I disagree. Women's sports has arrived. It is a movement. The world is finally taking notice of something that's been there all along. Immense talent, passion, and competition. And that's why we're here today at the right time, in the right place, for our first WNBA team in Canada. I want to say a few words about our franchise. It's early days and we have a lot of work ahead of us, but there are a few key priorities guiding our work. First and foremost, this franchise will be Canada's team. While our home base will be here, right here, Coca-Cola Coliseum at Exhibition Place in Toronto, we will play games in Vancouver and Montreal throughout the season, uniting the country behind our franchise and inspiring pride and passion in fans from coast to coast. We will always be committed to providing a world-class player and personnel experience for all who represent our city and country through this team. We know that investing in our players is paramount to their success on and off the court. This means an investment in expert staff, state-of-the-art facilities, and creating an unmatched home court advantage that raises the bar for every franchise in the league. It also means welcoming them to Canada and making it feel like home. One more priority worth mentioning today: it's important for us to invest in communities across the country, because success is not just about the players and the team, but it's also about ensuring a purpose-led legacy. Our players will serve as inspirational role models, both on and off the court, and we will be committed to making a positive impact in our communities across the country. I've talked a lot today about the historic opportunity ahead of us, and I'd like to take a moment to thank a small group of people without whom this would never have been possible. Ivan Gazidis, president of Kilmer Sports Ventures; Teresa Resch, who will be taking on the role of team president; Patrick Lee, who will be our CFO of the new team; and the executives in our Kilmer office, led by Stephen Bloom and Craig Manuel. You have all been instrumental in getting us to this point. Thank you to Dale Lastman and the team at Goodman's, Keith Pelley and Nick Eves at MLSE, the CNE, Exhibition Place, and U of T, who have all been incredible partners. As well, Group CH in Montreal, who will play a key role introducing our WNBA team to Quebec. Lastly, I want to thank the people of Canada. None of this would be possible without your support, and I look forward to packing arenas across the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tannenbaum, for those words. And I also just want to say, Judy, thank you as well for making the dreams of millions of people across this country come true. Remarkable. Right now, we are going to bring to the stage a huge sports fan. He is our premier, Doug Ford. Come on up, Doug.
Thank you so much, Stacey. It's great to be here, and boy, all I have to say is wow. What a speech. What a speech. You have a bright future in politics. We got to watch it, Justin. We'll run him in the next election for sure. But what an honor to be here. I'll tell you, I brought along my great minister of sport, tourism, and culture. We call him Lumsey, an old CFLer, but I know he's a big supporter of all sports, and you're doing an incredible job promoting sport around the province, so thank you. I appreciate it. And Larry, Judy, thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for not just Toronto, but Ontario. No matter if it's being a leader in the sports scene, blazing a new trail today, once again, for numerous other things, not to mention the Raptors and every other sports team that you're involved in, and just being an icon, a business leader, a philanthropist, giving back. What people don't know, or a lot of people, the average person doesn't know about the Tannenbaums, they give back non-stop to every organization there is, and they aren't out there waving the flag, they just do it, so thank you. And I see Ken over there and the entire family, your entire team. Thank you for working so hard for our community. This is going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. I have an opportunity as Premier to travel around this great province and visit so many high schools, so many colleges and universities. And I'll tell you, I said this is trailblazing. Absolutely it is. This is going to give an opportunity to young women. Just imagine this. We already have great Canadian stars in the WNBA, but just imagine a young woman going to high school here somewhere in Toronto, preferably Etobicoke, because that's where the greatest place in the world to live is, in Etobicoke North up in Rexdale. But just imagine, see, I got one Etobicoke person in there. God bless you, thank you. But, you know, just imagine this, growing up here in Toronto and then playing for the Toronto team. It's, what a dream that would be. And, you know, Commissioner, thank you for everything you're doing. You've brought this to a whole different level. And I was telling the Commissioner about the diversity of our province. 110 nationalities. Think of that. Over 200 languages being spoken. And this is going to be truly not just the Toronto team, as Larry, you were saying, it's going to be the Canadian team. And Commissioner, you just had to see 5 years ago, which I'm sure you did, the parade of 2 million people coming down our street when the Raptors won, and we look forward to doing it again. Another 2 million people when our great Toronto team wins. We have a team of champions here in Ontario. And I always say about Ontario, you know, I had an opportunity to spend a lot of time, 20 years in Chicago and our plant there in New Jersey, but Ontario, you always talk about 6 degrees of separation, right? You can pretty well find anyone. In Ontario, it's 1 degree of separation. Everyone knows everyone. It's a massive family of 16 million people, growing rapidly, the fastest growing region in North America, bar none, faster than Texas and Florida combined. And within that growth, there's going to be amazing athletes, amazing basketball stars, and I just want to wish you all the best, and God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
One degree of separation. Could not agree more, Premier Ford. Now we are going to call upon the leader of, you guys know, it's Canada's largest city, the same city which has played host to the first ever WNBA game in Canada. It was sold out. So was Edmonton, by the way. Mayor Olivia Chow, she played a little hoops in her day, guys. Come on up.
Well, what an exciting day for Toronto. Yeah. I'm here, joined with me the local councillor and deputy mayor, Osman Malik, and our all-star city manager who coaches and referee basketball, Paul Johnson. Yeah, here. Yes, it's an exciting day for professional women's sports in our city. It's time. Yeah, it's time for women basketball heroes. It's time for a women basketball team. The new WNBA team will have the power to bring people together at the stadium, in people's living rooms, restaurants, and bars. It will give people another reason to cheer for Toronto, boast pride and passion for our city. The team will inspire generations of young people. They will have new heroes, new role models, new local legends, and new memories of favorite plays, right? Sports memories last a lifetime. Everyone remembers their first baseball game, basketball game, or where they were during the Raptors Game 7 when Kawhi hit that buzzer beater. I remember where I was. And you know, I came to Canada when I was 13. Lonely kid, only kid, with my parents. Didn't know anybody. Landed at Jarvis Collegiate. Didn't know anyone. Spoke a bit of English. I tried out for the basketball team. And I got in. That's where I made friendship. That's where I found my sense of belonging. That's where I got my confidence. Now I grew shorter as everybody grew taller. I didn't try out for grade 10. But you know, this WNBA team, those sports heroes, is going to mean a whole lot to a whole lot of teenage kids, especially ones that are feeling not so sure, you know, when you're growing up. Wow, that is the power of sports. Sports have the unique power to draw us together, to unite us, to blur divisions and build bridges across all the different communities that call Toronto home. All united in the common love of our city, our province, and our country. Yes, this is an historic moment in Toronto sports. I know that it wouldn't have been possible without the Canadian women's athletes. Their hard work, their dedication. They have already proven what we already knew, that they can compete in the world stage. And of course, thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Premier. Kathy, thank you. And most especially, the most tenacious, ambitious, passionate hero, Larry Tannenbaum. Thank you so much. I speak for the entire city when I say we're excited to watch the new team compete. And I'll work with City Council to make sure that we are ready for another huge championship parade. I have the honor today to, you don't need me to read out the entire proclamation. It's just say that we're really proud and that I, the Mayor of Toronto, on behalf of Toronto City Council, do hereby proclaim May 23rd, 2024 as WNBA Day in the city of Toronto.
Wow, thank you, Mayor Chow. WNBA Day, ladies and gentlemen. History. So right now, what I would like to do is gather these leaders and esteemed dignitaries together for a photo. There's one ball reserved. It's a game ball for Mr. Tannenbaum. So I'm going to give the ball to Mr. Tannenbaum as our guests come up and share really, guys, an historic photo and announcement that we'll never forget. All right, thank you so much, everybody. A round of applause for our guests, leaders, and dignitaries. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, can everybody hear me? Okay, so that was an incredible announcement. We're just getting started today. We're making history, clearly, but we know you have questions. Some of my questions were, how long has this been in the works? As our panelists come up. When did it start? What is it going to look like? What's going to be the name of our new Toronto WNBA team? We have just the people here to answer those questions for you. As we did our little set change, we're going to go through our panel, and I am going to essentially tee everybody up on some of the questions you may have. And we will break down following that with a question and answer from our audience and our Zoom landscape. Put this back. So there's two extraordinary women joining me on the stage right now. I'll start at the very end. Somebody I got to play with, you guys, Tammy Sutton-Brown. Woo! Ontario's finest. WNBA champion. She played for the Charlotte Sting. She played for the Indiana Fever. She played 12 years in the Women's National Basketball Association, not to mention playing overseas in Europe and Asia. She was a proud member of our Olympic team in the 2000 Summer Olympics that took place in Sydney. She has had an indelible impact on women's basketball here in Canada, as well as the United States. That is Tammy Sutton-Brown, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
You guys heard Mr. Tannenbaum mention Teresa Resch. She is extraordinary. Longtime Toronto Raptors executive, she spent 10 years with the team's championship front office, focusing on player development, strategy, operations. She played an instrumental role, as you all know, in the design and construction of Raptors' OVO Athletic Center. She was pivotal in launching Toronto's G League, Raptors 905. Before the Raptors, she spent several years at the NBA League office as a member of the International Basketball Operations Team. And today, her innovation is going to take over. She is the new president of the WNBA team here in Toronto. And you guys heard from Kathy Engelbert. I could provide paragraphs and chapters on what she has already done. I mentioned she's a boss since she took over as commissioner in the WNBA in 2019. We have a players-driven collective bargaining agreement that she is at the helm of and responsible for. The money that has been raised for the WNBA, incredible, upwards of $75 million, if I'm not mistaken, Kathy. Her stewardship, goes without saying, is impeccable. So we are so fortunate to have Kathy, Teresa, and Tammy. And I'm going to start off with this panel by just asking Tammy, do you believe it? We're here?
Wow. I always hope for this day. I think as an athlete, you look forward to playing in front of family and friends. And I always wish I could play on Canadian soil. I wasn't able to, but the Canadians that are playing in the W right now will have that opportunity. And the future Canadians will have that opportunity. So this is a really, really special day, not only for Toronto, but this is Canada's team. I know that there's a number of WNBA fans across Canada, and this is your franchise. So yes, I'm excited. I did not think this day would ever come. I'm so excited, and I'm so happy that we are here today.
Well, who did you, Tammy, look up to? Because, you know, growing up here in Ontario, like, who were some of your basketball icons?
There was no WNBA when I was playing growing up. And so my role models were Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. Those were my role models because that's who I saw on television. So I smile every time these next generation of kids come in and the rookie class comes in and they've grown up with the W and their role models are Dawn Staley, Sue Bird, Cheryl Swoops, because they grew up watching the W. And so I'm really excited for the future. Thanks to Kathy, her and her team who continue to push the W forward. These girls, their role models are now WNBA players.
Yeah, and I have to imagine, Kathy, when you're crossing borders for the first time and entering in this international platform, why Toronto? What was it for you about Toronto that made this, that you needed this to happen as the next expansion franchise?
Well, Stacey, we had done a huge analysis. I'm a big data person. We had done a huge analysis back in 2020, pre-pandemic, believe it or not, and we were looking at Toronto. We were about to announce a preseason game back in early 2020, literally the week that the NBA essentially shut down the sports world because of the pandemic. And so from that moment on, we knew the diversity of the city. We knew that we wanted to bring a team north. We wanted to expand globally. We wanted a global platform, a new fan base, an avid fan base. When I first, I wasn't even the commissioner yet, but I was named, and I went to Game 6 out in Golden State. Adam Silver had invited me, and I just saw the passion of the Toronto fans, even at an away game, and then obviously winning the championship that year. And just it's got me thinking, let's look at the data. Let's find a committed ownership group. Let's make sure we have a good arena and player experience. Let's have a preseason game here, which coming off the pandemic, we eventually did in 23, a little 3 years late, but I saw the excitement and the vibrancy of the city around women's sports and women's basketball, and obviously Canada basketball, and having Canadian players in our league playing at the highest level, elite, all factored into it. But when Larry and I met, it was, kind of like that Jerry Maguire, you had me at hello. I said, there's no one more dedicated to building women's sports, I think, in this city, in this country, than Larry and Judy.
Yeah, and simply the infrastructure is fantastic here for Toronto, as you alluded to. Teresa, we got a name yet? T. Okay, tell us a little bit, Teresa, about the plans for this new team and the innovative mindset with you specifically as the president.
I mean, everybody wants to hear the details, right? Where is this team going to play? What are we going to do? I'm your woman, right? I get to call the shot. So we heard a lot already. This isn't just Toronto's team. This is Canada's team. And we're so excited for the girls and women of Canada and the people that love and support them to love and support us. We're going to play across Canada, different markets. We look forward to doing that in a way that no other professional sports team in Canada has ever done. These games are going to matter, and we can't wait to see you there. Coca-Cola will be your home base. We're going to have a fan section just like a soccer team, and you guys better be loud. And I cannot wait to rock that place. So that's where we're going to play. We're going to be everywhere.
Teresa, I just would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the years you spent with our NBA, or incredible NBA talent, and just the partnership and what that looks like and the energy that you're able to draw from that group as we welcome a team in 2026.
Oh yeah, it set the stage. Like Kathy mentioned Game 6. I remember very distinctly, Kyle, you might remember this, after that game, there was probably, I'm gonna say 5,000 to 12,000 people in the arena afterwards yelling and chanting, "We the North." They sang the anthem. This was on an away trip in America. When we get to go across, coast to coast to coast in Canada and play these games, it's going to be incredible, and we can't wait to see everybody around the country really show up.
So, Tammy, you played overseas, 12 years in the WNBA. That's called an incredible veteran career. A couple all-stars in there. What, for you, in terms of this team, is how can fans show up? Because you've seen everything from Europe to Asia to the U.S. What do we need to see here?
Honestly, I don't think I would have played 12 years if it wasn't the support that I had in the W and internationally. I think for players, the fans are that sixth player. They're that sixth woman. They're that sixth man. And so we feed off of that energy. And so fans are incredibly important. How fans can show up? You can attend games, buy season tickets, wear your favorite players' jerseys to games, watch games on TV, follow your players on social media. I think that there's tons of ways in order for fans across Canada to show up for their players. Players will say they don't look at their social media. They really do. So they see all the messages, they see all the love and support, and I think that's really important, and it definitely does make a difference.
Awesome. I'm curious too, just from your standpoint, we're hearing this Caitlin Clark. Have you guys heard of her? Right? We're hearing about this wave, but the WNBA, Kathy, as you know very well, has been in existence for 27 years. We have a lot of incredible Hall of Famers, legends like Tammy. I played 5 years, so just curious from your standpoint, how this wave of players now impacts what we've already built as a sisterhood.
I think having role models in market will be of huge impact on the next generation of young athletes. It's one thing to watch a game on TV, but to see a game live in person, there's something really special about that. There's something really special about meeting your favorite player, getting an autograph, taking a picture. And so you hear time and time again what athletes say when they were younger, they met their favorite player and the impact it had on their game. It inspired them to where they are now. And so I think that there'll be a huge impact. This team in Toronto will make a difference. I think adding a few other cities as well over the next few years will open up additional roster spots. Right now we have 4 Canadians playing in the W. Hopefully in the next few years we'll double that number.
Yeah, Teresa, I'm curious from you, how can Canadians support this new team that's a couple years away?
Yeah, we got 2 years to go, but I think the excitement and enthusiasm that we'll garner over the next 2 years is going to be incredible. So number one, the first questions I've been asked in the last hour that I've been appointed president, every single person has said, what is this team name and colors going to be? We don't know. It's a clean slate. So we are very much looking forward to sourcing information and suggestions from the Canadian public. So keep an eye out for that in the near future. Ultimately, Tammy touched on a lot of it. Nothing speaks louder than how people spend their time, energy, and money. So spend it in ways that support this team. Buy a ticket, buy league pass, watch games. If you're a decision maker, data from Canadian women's sports say 2 out of every 3 Canadians are fans of women's sports. Invest in it. And then when you're a fan, look at who's investing in this team and support them. It's a whole flywheel, and we can really get it churning if we make the right decisions. So really looking forward to really growing this team and setting a new level of investment and support that the WNBA has never seen.
Right. Kathy, we're going to see Golden State right next, and then it'll be Toronto. That'll be 14 teams, which is awesome. The goal, I believe, by
16
by 2028.
Heading to 16, yes.
Right, so we're having Olympics down in the States in the same time frame. What advice do you have? Because you have been a part of expansions. Obviously, these are huge undertakings. So we're sitting up here kind of speaking casually in some respects about it, but these are deep meetings. They take a long time. Give us a perspective on that.
Yeah, it's, when I first joined the league and I saw that we were the longest tenured women's professional sports league in North America, by the way, by double any other. I mean, a lot of leagues have started and folded in hockey, soccer, and even basketball. So we take that with great responsibility. And as I looked around at some major cities that are big media markets, that have a lot of corporate, Fortune 500 companies based there, I said, how could we only be in 12 cities? And as I started to talk to corporate partners, it would be great if you would be in Toronto, in the Bay Area. And so again, looking at all of that, we take it with great responsibility to expand. We need, as Tammy just said, the number of roster spots, 144 today, roster spots are available. We're going to expand that with the 4 teams we're going to add by 48. That's a 30% increase. So that's going to give a lot of opportunity to a lot of young women, whether they come out of college or not. We obviously have an international program as well, and it will inspire hopefully millions of other girls to pick up a basketball. I mean, one thing, you mentioned Caitlin Clark, but this whole rookie class and all the attention on the WNBA and women's basketball, I can't tell you how many people are now coming up to me in arenas and saying, my 10-year-old daughter, my 8-year-old daughter saw Sabrina and Steph in the NBA All-Star game, and they started to pick up a basketball. And we know from data that girls who play sports become confident leaders in society and become leaders. I think 90% of the Fortune 500 women, the women that are leading Fortune 500 companies, played organized youth sports at least through high school. There's something there about building that confidence. The mayor said it. Again, we take it with great responsibility to expand this league, to grow, because the more you grow, the more opportunities you give, the more, again, it's just a huge inspiration to so many. And these players, the quality of the play on the court, Tammy, have you seen this?
I haven't. It almost wants me. It almost makes me want to
come out of retirement.
Get back into shape and come out of retirement. The growth has been incredible. As I said, Kathy, you've come on board and you've done a great job, and your team's done a great job pushing this game forward. I think the players coming in are now bringing their fan base with them too, and so we have new eyeballs. We have more eyeballs, and hopefully that just continues to grow.
What's it going to look like from I would say, Kathy and Teresa, the player experience, coming here to We've seen the Raptors do it, right, for years now, obviously, but what's that experience going to look like for the WNBA?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, Stacey. Yeah, we've had, well, for me personally, I've had 10 years at the Raptors understanding what professional athletes moving to Canada need to be successful and to be supported and have a great environment. We're going to put all those things to use because we've made mistakes in the past and we won't have to make those in the W because we know those things now. So a supportive community and understanding what is here. It's an untapped market. I think the reason that Kyle Lowry here is in the audience today is because of the impact that Toronto had on him and his experience, and I think a lot of his teammates would say the same thing. And we look forward to doing that in the W. We're, as Larry mentioned in his remarks, we're investing in capital improvements. They're going to have their own place to play. We're going to be home at U of T first while we build it. We're going to be investing in back-of-house players' spaces at Coca-Cola Coliseum. And more than anything, we're going to be investing in the people that we surround them with. Our staff is going to be elite. We're going to make sure they have the resources to succeed both on and off the court. And I think what's great is Masai, as the leader of the Raptors, has set a great game plan of what that looks like in Toronto. And it's been followed by TFC and the Leafs and the Blue Jays. And we're just going to be one more cog in the wheel. And more than anything, hopefully we'll be able to set the level and they'll be starting to copy from us.
And the only thing I'll add is this is a very competitive league. Every owner wants to win a championship. Larry wants to win a championship in how many years? Fast. 2, he said. Uh-oh,
Gosh,
fast.
pressure.
Our free agency market is very, very vibrant and dynamic now. So that player experience that Teresa just talked about will be very, very important. Because again, I have Bethany Donovan, our head of basketball operations here, league operations, Tammy, former players, yourself. It's different than when you all played, and this free agency system.
What hasn't changed since we played back in the early 2000s? It's definitely different. The salaries, can we just start there? The salaries are a lot different. I think they're making probably 2, 3, 4 times what we made back in our days. What do you say? 2, 3, 4? I
echo. By the way, we see some of our WNBA and Canadian legends up here.
And we have some Canadian basketball players here as well. Kim Gauscher, Tamara Tatum. Stand up, please stand up.
Yes.
Canadian Olympians right here representing Team Canada.
I'm call out one more. Sylvia
Sweeney. Where's Sylvia? Sylvia. The original, Sylvia. Thank you, Teresa.
So, Tammy, I want to take this a step further because can I get a fist bump, Kathy? Charter flights folks are they're now a part of this thing, okay? Tammy, what was it like, not to age us, but when we played in the 2000s and you played for 12 years, what was it like with the travel and the lower salaries, but we still love the game so much?
Oh, we love the game, but having private flights changes the game. We took commercial flights, so there were often times when we would have a delay. If a flight was canceled, you would try to get on that next flight. We usually try to take the first flight out in the morning so we could avoid that delay. But travel definitely makes a difference. I think media exposure as well. We didn't have any national televised games. I might have played in maybe 2 or 3 my whole career, and now I can, switch on the TV on a Saturday afternoon, and a WNBA game is on national TV. So the game has definitely changed for the better, and it's completely different.
And just maybe a comment on that. When I joined the league, I think we had 80 games of our over 200 on national platforms. Last year, we had 205 of our 240 games on national platforms. If you build it, they will come.
Absolutely, yes.
So I want to pick up on that, Kathy. Since you took over, and so much respect for those who, served in the role before. But we have just seen, we mentioned charter flights, the collective bargaining agreement. What are you most proud of? It's probably too broad of a question for you, but it's fascinating, really.
And my team is here. Phil Cook, my chief marketing officer, first ever CMO of the WNBA, a longtime Nike guy who does marketing better than Nike. And just what I'm most proud of is it's great to raise financial capital, but you need human capital to grow a business and to build a business and build a brand. And the brand was very strong. The organization wasn't. The transformation that's happening, the business transformation. I mean, the basketball is great, but the business was not. So most proud of what this team has done through a lot of crisis. I mean, I was 6 months in the league, the pandemic hits. We then have a racial crisis. We then get thrown in the middle of a political battle in the state of Georgia. Pretty existential for the WNBA. We might not be sitting here announcing an expansion team if we're out of the sports landscape that year, and we're not here today from survive to thrive. So most proud about this team coming together, the hiring we've been able to do. I mean, Phil, how many do you have now in marketing? We had 1 when I joined. We now have 25-ish. And it's about human capital and hiring great people to grow a business, and probably most proud about that, because then that leads into how you build something and how you grow a business. And again, financial capital is great, it's the human capital that matters.
Love that. And you mentioned the word grow. Mr. Tannenbaum made a great statement, and I want you to elaborate, Teresa, on this. This is Canada's team. What does that mean? Can you give us a little bit more? Because we saw the sellout. I watched it. I saw the one in Edmonton recently. I watched it. What does that mean for the country, coast to coast?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about it a lot. We're going to play games. You can actually go and in person see aspirational. These are the women playing at the top of their game. But I think more than that, we're going to be really involved in the community. We're really going to be purpose-led and integrate into the communities when we go there, have fan fests, be able to really impact. We talked about women leaders, right? 90% of all C-suite women have played organized sports. Provide opportunity for that. And more than anything, work with partners who are doing great work on the ground already and using our platform to enhance what they're doing and the impact that they're having already. So we're already partnering with a lot of different groups to have this event today, and we look forward to doing even more in the future.
Okay, awesome. And we are getting ready to wrap for questions here in a second, but I want to know from Tammy, because I grew up in Brockville, which when I was a young girl, population 21,000, roughly 4 hours east of here, down the 401, right? Can I get a shout out on the 401? Tammy, you grew up here, right?
I did. Markham, Ontario.
Markham.
Shout out Markham, Ontario. Yes.
Markham, Ontario. We played against each other in club basketball. What are these athletes? This is a different experience in Canada. What are they getting by coming to Toronto? Those selected to play on this team in 2026, what are they walking into?
They're walking into the best fans in the WNBA. I know, Kathy, I know you probably, all the teams are your baby, but Toronto is really special. It is a special place. This is a unique team. It's not just going to be Toronto's team, it's going to be Canada's team. And so Canadians across the board, I interact with them all the time. They're passionate. They're ready. It's time. If y'all haven't been on board yet, we've been trying to tell you for a long time. The W is a staple. Women's basketball is on a rise. I know that there's a lot more eyeballs, but this is a great place. Toronto is the best city in the world. I am partial to that, but it is the best city. It's diverse. We have so much culture here. I think that they'll have a great experience. I know we have success. Kyle Lowry, Scotty Barnes was here. I know they speak highly. They come back. DeMar DeRozan. It's a really, really special here. This is a special city.
Just lastly, Teresa, what do you envision opening day looking like in a couple of years?
Oh, just the greatest day of my life.
I said drop the mic right there.
Yeah, that was perfect to segue us to our audience. As we get ready, I got my girl back there. We are ready for your questions. So we're going to take a few questions from the audience right now. And we're also going to incorporate Zoom for some people that couldn't be here with us, so.
Perfect. Hi, Savannah Hamilton, NBA TV Canada. First of all, congratulations just for bringing the Toronto a WNBA franchise, but I guess this goes to Teresa as well as Kathleen. Just in terms of what those initial conversations were like when, it finally clicked that Toronto was going to get a WNBA team. Can you walk us through that? As well for Kathleen, in terms of what was the factors that you looked at that you really wanted Toronto to get a WNBA team as well?
Yeah, obviously, any discussion about an expansion team has to be based in, do you have a committed long-term ownership group? Yes. Met with Larry many times, came up, actually attended a Maple Leafs game with him one night. And just looking at, it is a journey. These are hard. Looking at, again, committed ownership group, arena, practice facility, all the things that go into the player experience. So we want this to be a highly successful franchise in the network with the other 13 teams. So, but it's a journey. I mean, Larry and his team, we worked very hard. We negotiated hard. It's complicated to stand up a team. It's hard work. Women's sports is like pushing a big boulder up the hill, and we're getting to the top, guys. So that's why I'm so proud that we got this done. We're able to announce this today and really make history here in Canada.
Haley McGoldrick, Sportsnet.ca. Kathy, my question is for you. You've spoken many times about how the WNBA is a global brand. It's not just in the United States and Canada. With this team, Larry said that these games are going to be played in Vancouver and Montreal, but how does having a team outside of the United States really advance your mission of the WNBA being a global brand?
Yeah, so if you look at our strategy has kind of 3 simple pillars: player first, stakeholder success, fan engagement. And I've really admired what the NBA has done over a long period of time to globalize their game. I mean, very well known from a player, team, loyalty. Now other sports leagues are copying off of them, doing their global games equivalent. So I would love, and so that's why this is so important to us, to be outside the United States, here in Toronto and in Canada, to start to build that global brand, because we know when we bring the product to fans outside the US, they love it. You know, I meet with a lot of people, including government officials in the US, and they say one of the #1 most requested people by embassies are women basketball players, to come to embassies and inspire the next generation of girls, because they know that's good for their society. And so that's why this is so great as our first foray outside the United States with an expansion team. And again, there's other ways we can globalize our platform, digital, social, media, things like that. We're getting more and more international players coming into the W. Again, the NBA has a very large percentage and a lot of stars. We, I think, have 17% of our players were born outside the United States and growing. So that's all part of it too, because again, when that you have players like we do, Canadian players, it's really important that they're playing in the league, they're thriving in the league, and now we're going to give those Canadian players as well as US players the opportunity to play here.
Just a quick pause. I forgot one question. Where did you get these shoes?
So these shoes have the current 12 logos of the WNBA teams. My daughter on Instagram saw a woman who does custom shoes. She DM'd her. I didn't even know what DMing was when she told me that. And so she had them. My daughter had these made by this woman, Holly Rowe, who's one of our sideline reporters for ESPN. I gave her the link to it. She's now ordering her pair. But now I need new shoes because I got 2 more franchises to put on here, including Toronto. So I'll wait for your brand to get new shoes to come out.
Chelsea Late, Raptors HQ and Winsider. My question is for Teresa. So you mentioned learning the needs of NBA players through your role at the Raptors. And obviously, you know, women athletes and women in general have different needs than, you know, other athletes. And so do you predict that there'll be any different needs through getting these players coming to Canada? And what do you have maybe a few ideas started already to accommodate those needs?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that one. We're all unique individuals. I think we all understand there's a lot of difference between men and women. And I think more than anything, what I've learned working for the Raptors is to listen to the players, ask questions and hear what they're saying. And I think Kathy at the league level has done that really well, listening to what the player needs are, as well as the Players Association. You can see it in their last CBA negotiations. Some of the things that would never have been thought about in a men's professional sports league were integrated into theirs. So very similar. It's just a process you go through. I'm going to hire a really great GM who's going to take the lead on that. I'm going to empower them to really lead the team and be the point of contact with the players. But yeah, of course I have some ideas because I'm a woman and I know what I want.
Hi, Lindsay Dunn, City TV. I've been covering the WNBA for 13 years, and unprofessionally, this is the greatest day of my life. This question is for Teresa, team president. Feels great to say that, but we know that you've been a trailblazer for women in sports, and I know I'm sure it wasn't easy for you to leave the Raptors, but being the first team president for this franchise, what does this moment mean for you?
Well, thanks for asking that question, Lindsay. I know I've seen you shared that dream for a long time together, so great to see you here today. What does it mean? It means that I finally get to call the shots. I mean, Masai always introduced me as his boss, but that was far from the truth. Now I actually get to. So more than anything, I'm really excited to impact the experience of elite level women professionals, but more than anything, the impact that they're going to have on our communities and what the opportunity this team has to really shape and mold not just Torontonians, but Canadians. And it's not just the young girls and women, but it's people that really love and support them as well. A lot of allies, a lot of men who are going to be huge fans of this team, and I can't wait to impact them and open their eyes to maybe some different perspectives or things they may not have known otherwise. So thanks for that question.
Hi, Shireen Ahmed, CBC Sports. Congratulations to all of you. I just wanted to ask that the WNBA is arguably one of the most socially and politically progressive leagues in the world. How is that going to fit in with the Toronto vibe? Teresa and Tammy, if you could field this question.
So I think the question was, we're obviously a very socially progressive league. How does that fit in with the Toronto?
The vibe and the energy
Toronto,
of Toronto.
Culture.
Oh, okay, got it. Sorry, Shireen. So as not a native Torontonian, so I grew up in the States, I moved here 11 years ago, became a Canadian citizen 2 years ago. Oh, can't get rid of me now. But I think that's very correct. I think that Toronto has a unique perspective, both within the makeup of the demographic and how we do business. It's very similar to any other great North American city, but it has a uniqueness to it that I think will be actually very attractive to a lot of WNBA players. I think we're actually going to use it as an advantage in free agency, so watch out the other 13 teams. I think there's a lot of things happening here in Canada and in Toronto specifically that people will find I'll just say attractive. I don't want to give away anything that we're going to use to our advantage, but definitely the wheels have been churning. But similar to what I answered with before is like I look forward to building a really great team, and some of those team players are going to play a large role in communicating that and being part of it.
Sorry. Michael Grange, Sportsnet. Thanks to everyone for being here. I guess a question for Kathy or Teresa. Have there been any challenges to this point in landing this team? If there have been, maybe identify one or two. Maybe there wasn't. But going forward, obviously you've got a building to figure out, you've got a practice facility to figure out. What are some of the obstacles you think you're going to need to hurdle to be up and running in 2026?
Yeah, I'll just start with challenges, certainly always challenges in determining what are the right cities for the next steps of this league. Again, we take it with great responsibility, being that longest tenured women's professional sports league in North America, to make the right choices, to make the right decisions, to make sure we have all the right data to determine where are the best places. One of the nice things about being WNBA commissioner today, we have a lot of cities that want a WNBA team in the United States. And so it was a very competitive process. Obviously, we went out with the Bay Area first, but it's a lot of decision making to make sure, one, that you have the right city, two, that the fan base will support, three, Teresa mentioned this earlier, that the corporate base will support, because and the media companies. So a lot of economics for teams and leagues is media, corporate partnerships, obviously merch and fan, gate, season tickets, et cetera. So I wouldn't, I'd say the challenges are making sure you're making the right decisions, that you find the right committed long-term ownership group with the right situation that is, again, going to compete quickly for a championship and be successful on the business and basketball side. And that's what you're evaluating through the whole thing. And that's why these take so long, quite frankly, because these are huge decisions. I mean, when you only have 12 teams, now 13, now 14 as of today, these are big decisions that, you want 30 years people to be looking back and say, you want the next Larry Tannenbaum standing up here saying, wow, 30 years ago, this team led by Larry, really changed the game for women's sports here in Canada and across North America and probably the world. And that's what you want. So as you make these decisions, it's a heavy decision, I'll call it. So that's the challenge in my view.
I mean, I'll just add to that. I think that everybody can understand that a negotiation is called that because the two sides don't necessarily see the exact same thing. So every single detail is a negotiation because both sides want to win. But I think what we were able to accomplish in this is we kept the main thing, and that was that Toronto and Larry were the best possible solution for the WNBA to expand. And when we keep that forefront, we're able to get through all the other details. So I think we're great partners on it. Really appreciate the WNBA. They had to think really differently with this because this is something that's never been done. This is the first international team. So there's a lot of nuances to that had to be worked out. And I really appreciate the partnership that the WNBA had through the whole process to get us to today, really.
Well, and that's a really important word. And Larry's the one who kind of taught me what that word partnership means in the context of, making history today here in Canada is this has to be a partnership. And not every business are you in a partnership with your owners, quite frankly, or your governors in this case, and the stakeholders that you have. So thank you for bringing up that partnership. And Larry, thank you for teaching me how to build this partnership together.
This will be the last question in the room, then we'll go to Zoom questions.
Josh Lewenberg, TSN. Congratulations, everybody. Congrats, Teresa. I want to follow up on the team name. It sounds like I'm not the first person to ask about it. When you go through the process of trying to find the perfect name, whatever that ends up being, putting together the branding, what are some of the things you're going to be looking for, and what are you hoping that the name represents and symbolizes?
Well, we're looking for a name. Well, don't tell me any of your ideas because then I might steal them. So we'll wait until there's official rules and contests and ways to submit them, and then we'll take all your recommendations, okay? We don't want to leave here naming it quite yet. But I think what we want to do is we want to keep Canada at the forefront. We want something that really represents Canada. We also want to make sure that it represents women strongly, and we want to make sure it's like really, really cool. I mean, there's nothing better than a really cool shirt. And I think that working for Masai, I really understood the importance of swag. He's the swaggiest guy I know, and always needed to have all the cool gear. And I want the logo and the team to really represent everyone. Everybody can feel part of it, they can feel connected, and they feel like they can represent it with pride. So I'm looking forward to seeing what our community comes up with and going through that process together.
Outstanding. I think now we're going to take the Zoom portion of questions, correct?
Yes, thank you. And we're going to start with Alexa. Alexa, if you would, please.
Hi, all. Thank you so much for including us today from afar, from the States. This question's actually for Kathy. I was wondering if you could speak on how figuring out a plan for charter flights factored into making sure that this Toronto franchise could happen, since that was obviously some big news that we got earlier this month. And if you could expand on also the kind of the capital that was able to, where the kind of money came from for that to be able to be something that was happening so soon, because I know a lot of people weren't sure if charting could even be able to happen as early as this year as well.
I heard the first part about charter. No, having a Toronto franchise did not factor into our decision around charter. What factored in is that we're building a long-term economic model to be able to fund an operating expense like charter. It was something I always wanted, my team always wanted, but you didn't want to jeopardize the financial viability of the league until you felt you had a very long-term financial model to fund something like an operating expense of that size and scale. And so we're thrilled as of this last Tuesday, all teams are flying charter for the rest of the season. So we're really proud of being able to do that with the big support of our owners, the league, and quite frankly, the momentum and the corporate partners that have stepped up, the media partners that have stepped up to support this league. It wasn't like that 3 years ago, 2 years ago, or even a year ago. This is a new day in the WNBA to be able to afford this, and I couldn't be more proud to do this for the players, especially this year in an Olympic year where we do break the footprint. You see the players are playing every other night. I mean, it's the footprint is very, very challenging this year because of the Olympic break. So this was the year to do it, and that's why we did it when I did. And Alexa, I just couldn't hear the second part of the question.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I was just asking if because last time we spoke with you in April at the draft, the plan was to just charter for select circumstances. So I was wondering if you could expand upon what kind of made the difference financially to be able to charter full-time beginning this regular season.
Oh, why now? I think I just kind of maybe answered that part of the question, which is as we looked at the ability to fund a long-term model around this, we're looking at all of our metrics up, record sellouts, season tickets, corporate partners stepping up to support us, media companies stepping up. We'll have a long-term media deal sometime in the future here after the 25 season. It'll go into effect. So looking at all of that, so looking at a long-term 10, 20-year model to be able to fund something like that, we feel really good, confident, and optimistic. And that's why now also because of the Olympic year and the really, really tough footprint we have, we were already going to fund charter for our back-to-back, so we started chipping away last year, full playoffs, back-to-backs. This year there were a lot more back-to-backs that would require air travel and charter, so we just thought, let's jump into this now that we feel comfortable with the financial model.
And I would just add to that, Kathy, I was having lunch with Teresa and Tammy you jumped right in when I asked the question, what was the Toronto game like? How did tickets work for that? Because it was sold out. And what did you tell me, Tammy?
The Toronto game here last year sold out in 10 minutes. That speaks to Canada, Torontonians. Canadians came from Vancouver. They bought their tickets, they got on a flight, and they were here. And who was here? Was everyone here at the game in Canada?
Well, and if I could add in just a little commercial about season tickets, which are so important because that's your dedicated fan. They buy more merch. They support the corporate partners who support you. There's amazing data about corporate partners for women's sports, particularly the WNBA, that a fan is 12 times more apt to buy from a corporate partner who advertises in arena or on an ad spot than the average U.S. adult. But also a commercial. I mean, Golden State has just announced, after they announced their brand, I think 11,000 season ticket deposits.
Wow.
So Toronto, the bar has been set high. Let's go.
It is
Sounds
high.
like a challenge, right? Sounds like a challenge. So go to WNBA.com/Toronto, get your name on that wait list for tickets, sign up for a membership. It's there.
Our next question will come from Howard. Howard, go ahead, please.
Greetings, everyone, from the province of New Jersey. Kathy, have a question about how this new news relates to ongoing media rights conversations. If you could kind of take me through in what ways this helps expand the footprint, whether it changes financially the parameters you're hearing from in conversations about this, both because of an extra team, but also because of an extra country that you guys are able to reach.
Yes, Howard, great question. For those that didn't hear it, how is the impact of having a team here in Toronto or expansion in general on media rights valuation? This is something I've studied for quite some time. Again, when you're only in 12 markets in a country the size and scale of the US and you're not in Canada at all, or elsewhere in North America, I mean, it is an issue of expanding the fan base, expanding the media markets, even bringing in the Bay Area. That's a big media market. I think as we've announced, going up to 16 teams, that's accretive. So I would say Canada, there's no doubt, Toronto, this team in Canada will be accretive to media rights, including media rights here in Toronto, so or in Canada. So yes, Howard, it weighed into, as we prepared for a new media rights discussion past the 25 season, it definitely weighs in to be in more markets. It just makes sense. You bring in more fan bases, more fans are following, watching, viewership, the quantitative metrics, even the qualitative metrics go up. So it's very accretive to be here in Canada from a media valuation perspective.
We have time for one more. We're going to turn to Megan. Megan, go ahead.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. This is Megan Hall with USA Today's For the Win. This question is for Kathy and for Teresa. Just wanted to ask you, with so much investment in the league, what is the one word that comes to mind for this movement currently?
What's the one word that comes to mind?
For all the investment that's happening right now with obviously the expansion teams, fans coming to games, what's the word that comes to your mind the most?
Well, I come from the corporate world, so no one's going to like this. I call it the confluence. The confluence of so many positive elements coming together at the same time, which is more eyes on the game, more capital inflows into the sport, into women's sports, and certainly the WNBA, more people seeing the shift from us being kind of viewed 5-6 years ago as a charity to a real sports media and entertainment property. So confluence is my word.
Well, mine, I don't know that word. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with just progress. And I think just progress because, yes, there's been a lot that's been moving in the right trajectory, but we got a long way to go. We need investment 3 times what we currently have in order to even get to the level that men are at. And we want to be better. We want to be even more than that. We want to get to the next level. So we need investment even more than that. So if you're a partner and you're investing in the men's side, think about spending 3 times that amount on my team, and then we'll be starting to get even. So I think so far we've made progress, but we need more progress to go.
Outstanding. Those were incredible questions from the audience from Zoom. Thank you all. The one thing I'll just finish by saying is I cannot wait to hear O Canada played as our national anthem. I live in the States and I'm about to be an American, but I'll always be a Canadian. So super cool. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a quick photo op, but for those of you media members, you probably have a few more detailed questions for both Teresa and Kathy. They're going to meet at our lower riser areas for a more intimate setting if you do have those. For those of you not involved in the media portion, we have a reception just out in the foyer. Please join us there. And I also wanted to let you know, we are hosting a youth clinic a little bit later on today. We would love for you to be a part of that, cover it, and soak it in, because it's really just the start as we kick off with this historic announcement today of what's to come with WNBA Toronto. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Stacey.